If you keep experiencing different situations that you do not want in life with different people, you keep getting the same outcome and you want to finally just be able to protect yourself from being used, played, or manipulated and be the one in control for the rest of your life, this is what you have been waiting for. You might not know that you've actually been broadcasting small behavioural signals that show manipulators that you are an easy target, handing your power straight over to them. And I was doing this for the longest time before I learned these. So I'm breaking down all of them for you today with practical ways to stop. I like to call this the prey signal. Essentially, you are the prey for these manipulators with these 5 unconscious behaviours. So get comfy and let's just dive straight in. So the first thing you do that you don't realise is giving off this prey signal is seeking closure from a person who did something wrong to you or acted bad or hurt you. Whenever you try and chase closure from these people, you're giving off to them and other people who know about it the signals that you are an easy target to be used and manipulated. You go back to the source of confusion for clarity. If you've ever been in a situation where someone's done you wrong, maybe a friend's betrayed you, someone's hurt you, someone's cheated on you, and you're going back to that person looking for clarity, you're looking for reassurance, you want answers, you need them to give you that emotional closure. You're like, why can't you see how bad you hurt me? Can you just explain why you did this? Instead of just realizing, okay, that behavior was not in alignment with what I want from my life and then walking away from it. Emotionally, it makes you feel like if I understand, if I get why they did it, then I'll feel better. But you're not going to feel any better, and also it makes you the easiest target for a manipulator. So manipulators thrive on keeping you slightly confused, keeping you engaged, keeping you seeking validation from them or approval or comfort, keeps you always needing something from them when you need closure. So you're unable to detach and walk away, meaning they are always in control, showing you're still available, you're still emotionally invested, you're still open to influence. So they are controlling and running the entire situation because you're lacked onto them because you cannot give yourself the closure you think you need it from them. Also, when you're telling people about this, when you're telling friends about this, when you're telling people that you met that you went back to this person who kept doing you wrong and you were seeking closure for them and you're sharing this story, you are literally broadcasting to the entire world that you need that support from people. So when someone does something wrong to you, they have the control. So what do? Instead of asking, can they give me clarity whenever you feel confused or betrayed by somebody, you have to start asking, what does their behavior already tell me? And then decide if it's acceptable for you. You have to have a non-negotiables list in your life of behaviors you don't accept, and then you can add to it the more you experience in your life. And whenever someone does something that doesn't align with that list, instead of looking for them to give you the closure, you go, oh no, okay, they've already crossed that off. This is time to distance myself. Closure is not something you receive. It has to be something you decide for yourself, so you always stay in control. They're never going to be able to give you what you need, and they're just keeping you in a loop of being used over and over and over again. Start trusting the perception that you form from people's actions, not their words. That keeps you away from manipulators who want to keep you emotionally latched onto them. Okay, so the next one is such a bad habit that so many of us have that we don't actually realize. Trying to prove that you are different. You overgive or bend yourself or flex so hard to try and prove that you are amazing, to get their approval, to get the attention. You feel like you need to stand out and be chosen and show others what's amazing and good about you. So you will maybe tolerate more, or you'll give more, or you do more, and you'll constantly share your achievements and try and do the most. Basically trying to talk up your worth to people and show people, look at me, I've done this, I've done that, I'm amazing, I'm not like a regular person. It's not as obvious as this in your head, but that's essentially what you're doing. We do this because of conditional validation patterns. I've spoken about this before in videos, but at some point in your life, you usually learn that, if you achieve more or you do more, you get rewarded for it. So maybe in school or at home, that's the kind of loop that you learned in your head, and it keeps you in this idea that the more you do, the more you prove yourself, the better you are, the more valued you'll be, and the more you will get in return. But why does this make you a target for manipulators? Well, I'm glad you asked me. Manipulators look for people who want their approval, and they will go out their way and overextend themselves in order to get it. So they now know what you want from them. So they can keep you hooked and stay in control as long as they can give that to you or make it feel like you're chasing them for that. I used to be so desperate for this. I really wanted validation that I was smart enough. I would constantly be flexing my achievements, and it was at the point where I remember people would get me to do things for free for them all the time. I would literally be overextending myself. Anytime somebody needed help with work, they needed help with an essay, they needed help with uni, they needed help with anything, I would be spending all my time helping them for completely free because they knew how to use the fact that I loved flexing how smart I was, so they could get me to do anything. It would reaffirm my intelligence that they asked me to do something, and so I was very easy to be used. Now, this can manifest in a million different ways in your life, but the point is, when you really want that validation from somebody, you want that approval, they can use that to their advantage to walk all over you. So I have a couple of practical tools for this one. I always want you to replace the thought of how do I prove my value to knowing I know I'm valuable, so I actually don't need to prove it. If I really truly believe I'm valuable, why do I need to show it? It will naturally come through everything I do. Focus on being present instead of performing for validation. The second thing I want to give you is 2 sets of journaling prompts. So the first one is to identify where this kind of approval seeking came from. When did I first feel like in my life I had to be better or chosen to be liked? Growing up, was I praised more for being easy, being helpful, being low maintenance? What was I praised most for? Being smart? Figure out what's the thing that you are seeking the most validation from and approval. Did I ever feel like I had to earn love or attention or approval, and how? And what version of me felt acceptable in the past? So your current behaviour now is usually your past strategy for being accepted. So you will be able to root it back to something. Now, the second set of journaling prompts, you're going to ask yourself, what would I change if I believed I didn't need to prove anything to be chosen? What would I stop doing immediately? What standards would I start enforcing? And what would it look like to let people meet me instead of me performing for them? This is where you stop auditioning. And that one is so important. And if you don't know, like with every one of my videos, there is a free resource that's down below that has a workbook with lots of different questions, including everything I talk about in this video. So if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can get that down below for free. So the next one is quite hard if you have always been quite an emotionally reactive person. You don't know how to regulate your nervous system the right way, but obviously I'm going to teach you how. This is responding emotionally to people provoking. So if you get pulled into reactions easy, you spiral easy, you get defensive easy, you act emotional easily, it kind of shows your weak spots and it shows your triggers and your insecurities, and manipulators love when you do this. If someone says something slightly off, or somebody doesn't text back, or someone gives you low energy, or someone does something that makes you feel a bit weird, or they say something that you don't like, you react quickly, you defend yourself, you ask what's wrong, ask if they're okay, you're trying to correct it, you're trying to resolve the situation because you feel so unsettled emotionally. You want the resolution to that situation to regulate your emotions. If anyone can say or do anything that will make you spiral or get defensive or feel insecure, they have the power over you. If you start emotionally engaging and explaining and arguing, you want to fix the perception because you care too much. You care too much about that situation, and you start letting it mean something about you, and that makes you spiral. I used to be the worst person in the world for this, especially when it would come to like the guy I liked not texting me back, or like somebody saying something and they would say okay, but they would say okay, like the O and the K instead of the full word okay, and I'd be like, oh my god, they hate me, blah blah blah, and I'd be messaging like, are you mad at me? Are you okay? Did I do something wrong? You are handing them access to manipulate, use, and abuse you. It makes you a target because manipulators love to test how easily you can be triggered. If they can control your reaction, they can control the interaction. If they know what can push you, make you spiral, make you crash out, they hold the power to your emotions because they can use this to pull you in and push you out based on what they want from you. When you're triggered, you need to pause and ask yourself, is this 100% about me? And if not, is it really worth my energy? Do they deserve to see how much this impacts me? If I feel some kind of way about it, can I take this emotion home and process it at home? Do I have to react publicly right now? I have so many regulation tools, not the ones that I've given in other videos. I love to do some nervous system regulation, so I'm going to pop these on the screen and talk through them. So I want you to just get in the habit of pausing before you react and just kind of taking a moment, before you look weak, before you jump in, and always just assessing the situation, and then you can use one of these tools. So there's 2 questions to ask yourself. Is this about me or is this about them? And secondly, will this matter in 24 hours? Before you do anything, check that first. Creates instant emotional distance between you and the situation. The second is the energy drop technique. Most people react by going up with their energy, but we're going to practice going down. So maybe they do something that triggers you and your energy heightens, and that is how you react. We are going to do the opposite so they know they do not hold the control. Lower your tone, slow your speech down, reduce your words, and instead of, jumping in, getting defensive, being like, is this okay? That's not accurate, blah, 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 and explaining yourself, you just have to be like, no, this is not accurate. This is not about me. Separate yourself from the situation. You need to give as little energy as possible, and if you do need to respond in as little words with a little emotional backing as possible. The lower energy gives you the higher authority in the situation. Even if you're spiraling on the inside, still practice doing this on the outside until you learn to control your triggers. The next one is kind of interrupting your body. Obviously, energy is building in your body and your nervous system when you're spiraling, so you want to release it without reacting outwardly. So I've got a couple of tricks that you can use for this. The first one is pressing your tongue off the roof of your mouth, pressing your fingers together, gently like grounding your feet or touching something, having an anchor, whether it's your necklace. Not to be all fidgety, but just something where you can anchor the energy into, instead of just externally exploding with all the energy you have. You become a lot harder to move emotionally when you know how to regulate your nervous system, and then you finally take more control of yourself so they can't have control over you. Okay, so the next one. I was about to say I've been so bad at the next one, but I've said I'm so bad at all of them. But I guess that's why I have the knowledge to teach you it, because I used to suck with all these things. This one is so essential for not only your thrival, but also your survival. So listen up. Is feeling responsible for other people's opinions and emotions. You try to manage how they feel about you. So you want to make sure everyone's okay. You want to make sure you're not causing any problems. You're not causing any conflict. It basically leads you to just being a people pleaser and avoid being problematic in any way. Maybe it's, you know, you change your tone, or you change your opinion, or you change your behaviour so that you don't upset them, even if it disservices you. You don't say things honestly to avoid their discomfort, and you say it's okay to things that it's not okay with. You don't make them feel bad, even though it makes you feel bad. This makes you such an easy target. Manipulators rely on guilt, emotional pressure, and your need to fix things. If you feel responsible for their emotions, and so you're willing to sacrifice your own self-respect to make them feel better, they can use that. If you want to people please so everybody else is comfortable, even though you're not, you are actively handing them over the power on a silver platter, because they know that you will do anything to keep them comfortable, even at your own expense. They can get you to do whatever they want if they phrase it right and make you feel like they're going to be uncomfortable if you don't do it. They will play on your avoidance of their discomfort. They know how to make you feel bad, and so if you feel guilty enough, you'll sacrifice yourself for them. So for this one, anytime you feel yourself trying to bend, you feel yourself going to, mold yourself or change yourself to avoid their discomfort, even at the expense of your own, I need you to ask, is this mine to carry? Your opinion is not your responsibility to change if they don't like it. Okay, that's not how the world works. So you need to look at the situation and be like, is this really my responsibility to fix? No, it's not. Is it really okay? Or am I just avoiding their discomfort? Am I abandoning myself to stay peaceful? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to need you to pause and reanalyze. And of course, because this one is more leaning on people pleasing, I'm going to recommend a couple of videos I have on self-respect and people pleasing at the end of the video if you want to go further on this, because I know there's so much more to it. Now let's move on to the fifth and final behaviour. So the fifth thing that makes you an easy target for manipulators, and they can smell it from a mile away, over-explaining before you're even questioned. You justify yourself before anybody challenges you. You give everybody an explanation for everything. Give everyone access into every single aspect of your mind because you want to come across in the right way. So this kind of ties into the previous one of trying to manage perceptions, but this is another way in which you do it. Example I have for you. I'm so sorry, I couldn't come because I had to do this and then I had to do that and then I was really stressed about this and I didn't know how I was going to get there in time. No one even questioned you. Most of the time, if you just said, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't make it, no one would care. Not care that you weren't there, but they just wouldn't need the 5-point presentation. Acting like you are being interviewed or again being auditioned for everything is making you live in a state of explaining yourself even when you don't need to. We usually do this because of our nervous system. It's trying to prevent judgment before it happens. You think someone's going to judge you for something because you've created this scenario, this fake scenario in your head. And so you were trying to create this preemptive protection of being like, well, if I explain myself, then they won't judge me that way. But they weren't going to judge you in the first place. That's in your head. And even if they did, it's not on you to fix that. This makes you a target because it shows you have a lack of internal authority, a lack of internal certainty, and a fear of approval. And this tells manipulators that you're easy to influence and you'll react under pressure. Manipulators can see that you were trying to get approval from them by having a rationale for everything, by explaining yourself. They can see that you want to be liked. Like we spoke about in the previous ones, you want that validation, so they hold cards. You have to practice just saying things as they are. No explanation unless it is 100% required. Practice always running things through the filter of saying less. And you can do this at home. So an example of what you could do would be, Like if I came home from a situation today and I know I over-explained myself, I would rewrite out the situation or re-visualize the situation. What could I have said if I said less? And just give myself time to, practice different ways of saying things without over-explaining. And the more you practice this in private, the more it'll be easier for you to do in the moment in public. And it will communicate authority, certainty, and self-trust, which manipulators do not like. They run away from that. So all of these 5 behaviors have one thing in common. They all come from trying to feel safe and feel regulated, validated, and approved through other people. At the moment that you stop seeking things externally, seeking that safety from them, you have self-validation, you have self-trust, you have self-worth, and you have self-respect. Stop being a target, because when you don't need people to give you all of this stuff and you have it yourself and the ability to do it yourself, they can't hook you because you don't need what they're selling. So if you want to grab the free workbook that I spoke about, it has more exercises on how to implement this, which I'll put down below. I'll recommend the videos on the screen that I spoke about earlier. If you want to go a little bit deeper, build some more self-respect, of course, subscribe for 2 videos every single week, and I will see you in my next video. See this? I think I just made the perfect matcha. Sorry, but slay.